6 months. You have my email. I'm here to support you, answer questions, etc. And I'm really excited about your club. So looking forward to working with you.
Okay, so we have new couches. So if you were here at the last meeting, then you would have seen that we had a big box that we were sending around. So for best evaluator, we have a new couch, best table topics, and best speaker. So when you see these going around, it'll have a label on the front, so you'll know which one to put it in. So I'm going to, because I forgot to do this the first time, I'm calling the meeting to order. And I also have the pleasure of introducing James George as our Toastmaster. So please welcome James.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Again, my name is James George. I will serve as Toastmaster for today. A little about me. I don't fear a lot of things in life, but the biggest fear that I do have is public speaking. So one of the reasons why I agreed to be the Toastmaster for today was kind of just, take the bull by the horns and, try to conquer my own personal fears of, speaking in public. For those of you that are new, our meeting is generally set up in 3 stages. You will hear from our speaker of the day. You will also hear from, we will also have table topics. Table topics is where we kind of get together. It's kind of a random topic. You are encouraged to participate. With a brief, speech about whatever the random topic is. Most people don't know what the topic is going to be, so it kind of helps you to kind of think of it. And then our final portion of it will be our evaluator. Evaluator will kind of break things down, give feedback to our speakers, and then just positive feedback to try to help them to just let them know what they've done good, and also to give them some feedback as to the things that they can do better. I would like to introduce a couple of our roles, people that are going to be participating. We do thank you all for volunteering for the roles. The roles for today, we have our general evaluator, and that role will be today by Cindy Caliburn. Cindy, would you like to just stand and just give a brief explanation as to what your role is?
I'll do my very best. I'm here to observe the meeting as a whole. I'm not evaluating the particulars of a speaker or the Toastmaster, but more of the how did it run, what can we do perhaps to move it along, make it more interesting, involve more of the membership. And then I will do just that small bit. And then I will ask for each individual the counter and the timer for their particulars that they observed during the meeting. Thank you.
Our next role will be the word master, and that will be Howard Merrill. Howard, would you like to just stand and give us information?
Sure. So my name is Howard, and today I'm the word master. As the word master, I will introduce the word of the day to the club. I'll define it, use it in a sentence, and I believe I can put on the board for them to have reference to throughout the meeting. And do I have to keep track of how many times I have to keep track of how many times it's used and by who, and kind of report on that at the end? Is that part of?
Yes.
Right.
It is? Okay, great. So I will do that. Okay, thank you.
And the word is?
Do I put that up right now?
Yes, please. Yeah.
The word of the day is acolyte, and it is one who attends or assists a leader. Used in a sentence, the lawyer arrived with one of her acolytes, an eager young attorney who recently been hired by the firm.
Next will be our timer, and Allison Squire will be our timer for today. Would you like to give a brief explanation of your role?
Oh, I didn't know how to talk. No.
All right, well, the timer's role, generally, the timer will time the speeches. I believe with our table topics portion, it's 1 minute.
1 to 2 minutes.
1 to 2 minutes.
So you show the, if I may help, you show the green card at 1 minute, the yellow at 1.5 minutes, and the red at 2 minutes.
Okay.
Then for the icebreaker speech, that's 4 to 6 minutes. So you show the green at 4 minutes, the yellow at 5 minutes, and the red at 6 minutes.
Okay.
And for the evaluation, that's 2 to 3 minutes. So it's the green at 2 minutes, the yellow at 2.5, and the red at 3 minutes.
Okay.
And we will call on you, just to kind of give that after, the speeches, just to give an idea of, how long the speech was, later on in the meeting.
Okay.
And last but not least will be our all-counter of the Maryland. That role will be filled by Kevin Mendel, and we'll give a brief information.
Okay, so for each of the speeches and table topics, what I will do is keep track of the ahs, the ums, the ands, the so's, anything kind of in between that you fill, different sentences with, those little words like the ums. And then at the end, what I'll do is I will go through how many ums, ahs, and ands, and so forth for each person during their speeches.
Thank you. So to kick things off, I'd like to invite Cindy Caliburn to the lectern, and she'll go over our general topics and get things started.
I'm gonna put the definition on the board. I didn't do that.
Please, yes.
I'll be there.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My 2 speeches together need to be a maximum of 10 minutes, so I've let Allison know I'm going to go by that route. I'll be less than 10 minutes because I'd love to hear you speak more than myself. It's important, the 2 things that I'm going to speak about are introducing a speaker and evaluating a speech/speaker. So I'd like to start with the introduction of a speaker. And I want to narrow it down to simply what you will most likely be doing as an evaluator for your fellow members. As opposed to, your keynote speaker, and you have to introduce the next person, and they're going to speak. We're not quite there yet, so let's have that make some sense. The most important thing that the introduction will do is help make a transition for the entire meeting. We want you to have a good mindset. We also want you to feel prepared. So as someone who's going to introduce the speaker, contact the individual who's speaking. For the most part, it's been very good. 2 weeks prior to a meeting or close to that, we have someone signed up as a speaker. So as their evaluator, you sign up, or maybe your group will decide to begin to give you that role. So as the evaluator, you contact the speaker. Now, there are some things that you have to have for the mindset of introducing them. Yes, we want to have a transition so that everybody in the room begins to come along with you. You are transitioning them from one part of the meeting to the next part. Secondarily, you would like everyone to know a little bit about the person, and that's why you have to talk to them. You'll need to know about the person just a bit. Don't be afraid at that level. We have some guides or templates to help guide you through. And then you'll need to know, well, what speech are they on? Where are you in pathways? Now, why would that matter? Can anybody tell me why that might matter? Why would you want to know where they are in pathways or for the evaluation? And we have another idea. If you're all as a group and you're generally working together, why would that? All right, I'm going to let Susan tell me. Go ahead. Tell us all.
Because you want to understand where they are in their path compared to where you are in your path. If they're ahead of you, you'll be watching them to see what you might do next when you're in that position.
Absolutely. So we're actually here as a group. You may feel as though you're here as an individual, hoping that you'll get a great raise when you really ace that next opportunity with your boss. That's good. But if you're here and you understand, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be having to do that next, I'm next. I really want to hear how they organized their speech. I wanna see how they took up the front of the room. Did they get the members to interact with them? Do I want to do something similar, or do I wanna do something completely different? So it's interesting enough that the introduction seems like such a simple thing, like, why is that so important? You're getting a lot of pertinent information. Now, outside of that, let's go right back to the individual giving the speech and the individual who is introducing them. It's most likely gonna be their evaluator. And so they need to get together. I don't care if it's Skype, email, phone. But the individual interviewing needs to put themselves in the speaker's position. You want to be kind, you want to be interested, you want to know what exactly they're going to do. Because your job is someone who introduces and someone who evaluates. You're going to want to know, what is my evaluation form going to look like? What am I listening for? So it's important that you find out what speech they're on, you get the correct evaluation form. And that'll help guide the conversation rather quickly. Have it at hand if you can, like 1 minute, hey, you know what, I'm gonna evaluate you in 2 weeks. What are you working on? Okay, thanks, I'm gonna contact you. What's best for you? Email, phone? Thank you. So at that point then, you also wanna add one more thing. You don't have to say their name at the end, though you do. You have to tell everyone who they are, what speech they're going to do, how long it is, what they should be listening for, what you as a listener is going to evaluate as you quietly evaluate, right? But you also can give some personal information that the person okays. You never give information to the person that's not okay. Perfect. Then last, try to say a little something that gives them authority on the subject. George is a pro tennis player at the country club in Amherst, and his speech is on how to effectively return a serve. So it gives them a little authority, you know, what makes him important or an authority on that subject. All right, I'm gonna move quickly and transition to how to evaluate. One thing though, I did hand out 2 things. I know Rick is very sensitive to paper, I am also, and so I gave this electronically to the officers, and I just requested that they also make it available to you online, something that you can just have electronically. And it's just a nice, simple introduction template, and you can walk through this the first couple of times. I wouldn't suggest you do it always, but it's great when you're right here at the beginning, you have never done this before. So a nice little introduction template you and the speaker can go through. Next is a topic that I hold near and dear because I was a terrible evaluator. I evaluated myself. You're terrible at that. So what did I do? I observed and evaluated the individuals who were very good at evaluating. And then I took it to the next step. Once I thought I had some very effective notes for myself, I went and begged their mercy. I stink at this, and I need your help. Can you help me? What's your mindset? What do you think? So, guess what, people? The very minute you are in a situation, a work meeting, a little roundabout table, you're evaluating. I'm not lying, we sure are. Why didn't you wear that? Oh my gosh, that perfume is killing me. Oh, it's making me so nervous. Did you see the sweat on the brow like that? Why can't you just wet it? Oh my gosh, we better take a drink. You're killing us, right? You are evaluating, maybe not so professionally, but you really are. Every time someone is speaking. Anytime someone is doing a bad dance, dancing with the stars or something. So as an evaluator, you get a deal. I already gave an example to you, another one of the handouts. This is a short form, but I will tell you that every speech, and if anyone didn't get it, let me know. Again, it's going to be provided electronically, I hope. Every speech comes with an evaluation form, and if you happen to miss it, there's a really quick outline and how to, in your fundamentals of public speaking, if you pick one of these up initially. I believe page 6. You memorized that, didn't you? Page 6. Okay. So here's the short form. And what it really does help you do is if you don't have that piece of paper, trust me, there's going to be some point at which you do not have the evaluation that comes with that speech. I'm sorry, there's going to be times when you don't have time, they don't have time. I'm not okaying it, I'm saying like that. This is a good evaluation form, let's just click. Did they do something? Their vocal projection, was it excellent? Everyone could hear. Was it good? It was fine, but there were moments where they were a little too quiet, or, oh, there's room to improve. That is a nice way of saying it. That's the point of an evaluation. How can I change it from, you were terrible, and that is not just my opinion, that it's in gold. And you have to live with it. Because they're gonna come up and evaluate you and say it out loud. So as an evaluator, you want to thank them, and you want to be able to give an uplifting, useful, and effective evaluation. So what are you pointing out? Here's a do and a don't. Don't say, you didn't do, you should have, you failed to, because no one wants to hear it. I mean, say it to yourself. Imagine your worst enemy in the world saying those things to you and hammering you down. That's not what an evaluation is for. It's not to lie to you, because those become maybe encouraging at the beginning, like, wow, you did a great job. But you know, the rest of the room's been evaluating. So if that happens too often, your evaluations become ineffective, people begin to turn them off, and what's worse is as a speaker, you are not able to effectively change what you're doing because you don't know what is good and what is poor. So what we want to do is have a pleasant, worthwhile, effective evaluation. I gave you the don't. What do you want to do? You want to exactly go by whatever the evaluation is asking for. So a particular evaluation for, say, vocal variety or body language. You had better have been watching those points that were asked of you, because that is what the speaker has been working on for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So you want to encourage and give actual praise, specific praise. Do you know what I really liked about your introduction today, Jim? Well, now he's interested, right? I asked it in the form of a question. What I really liked about it is your honesty. You were able to connect with your audience with a common feeling of fear in public speaking, right? So you acknowledge that he's working on it. You acknowledge the way he did it, and then you said, that was a good way to do it, but I didn't use those words. But he walks away, and that, by the way, it's true. I'm not making that up. But that helps him understand, oh, this was good. I can replicate that. I can do that again in a different way and apply it to my next speech, right? What do you need to do? Well, perhaps you acknowledge something, maybe not a fear. You connect with the audience because they can connect with what you said. And you're honest. Great, I can do that again. Perfect. So that evaluation tip will help them. Also, come on, give it a nut. Give it a nut. There we go. All right. Secondly, there are approaches to evaluations. A lot of times you'll hear the same. So, excellent praise, this is what you did well. Done something where you can work on it. Let's work on this thing. It was part of what we wanted to work on today. And while I want to thank you so much for standing here, right behind, taking your space, authority, I really appreciated that. And it really wasn't part of what you were supposed to do today. Today was body language, and I would have liked to see, or I think the audience reacted with more interest when you did move away from the podium. See, I didn't say, well, why are you standing there like a stick? I need to see movement. This is what it's all about, right? That was the movement. It also doesn't help them, and it doesn't help you. Yeah. So in conclusion, for this particular, I keep on saying for. Now, if you're listening to me, which I hope you are, take notes. And then somebody say, Cindy, I really am okay with you being a human being, but you say for instead of for. 4 conclusions that are hopefully helpful. And I'll try not to stick out my tongue too much. So in conclusion, as an evaluator, you may use the sandwich technique. Yes, you did this well, and this is what I liked, and this is how your audience reacted. Since this particular subject was on body language, I was observing that when you moved more outside the podium, then you had more of the attention of your audience, so a little helpful, right? And then another little, hey, this is your third speech, and I have seen you progress in noticeable improvements. If you need, listen, sure, I had to go to people and say, help me become a better evaluator. Are you giving me, I'm not sure if you're giving me the right part, I'm only saying that because I'm not sure.
I mean, I thought you said you had like 10 minutes, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So do I need a red? And I'm just saying that because I'm not sure and I gotta get out of here.
I flashed this a while ago, so I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but you're at 13 minutes right now.
That's okay, here's a
Okay.
little learning minute, and that's why we're here as sponsors, remember. Hold it up higher and wave it at me like, man, she's blind. Because that's what you wanted to say, right? Just wave it
Okay.
up. I'm blind. You have limited time. So make sure that your evaluation is kind. Do unto others as you'd like them to do to you. Be effective in that you're going to give them some advice, and it's going to be worthwhile advice. And as you sit there, be a listening evaluator because it makes you a better speaker and a better evaluator. Thank you very much. I will turn it back to our Toastmaster for today, Jane. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Cindy. The next portion of our program will be our actual speech. I'm going to first call to the podium our evaluator, to evaluate Susan Littlevise, and then she will introduce our actual speaker, who is Robert Howard. Susan?
Today, we're pleased to hear another icebreaker speech. It's going to be from Bob Howard. Bob is working on the path leadership development. I'm going to give him his icebreaker speech today. Just to tell you a little about Bob, he's a trainer in loan services. He trains on all kinds of functional systems for the company. He trains all those people that are in behind-the-scenes roles, either in areas such as collections, loss mitigation, mortgage servicing. He trains the business leaders and their acolytes. The training includes both functional systems and a little bit of soft skills training. He's been 3 years at KeyBank, and previously he had other roles in other companies where he also did training. Today he'll be sharing some anecdotes about his own experience in public speaking, and by doing that, he'll be sharing with us his motivation for working in Toastmasters now. The title of his speech is Putting On My Big Boy Pants. Please welcome Bob Howard.
Thank you, Susan. Madam Acting President, fellow Toastmasters and friends, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I'm terrified of public speaking. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. Those of you that know me will say, Bob, that's impossible. Your job is literally training. You stand in front of people all day. How can that be? And I'll concede that point. So let me clarify. Maybe I'm not terrified of public speaking as much as I am the part before public speaking. The preparation, the part leading up, the days, the weeks, the minutes before I speak publicly, I am terrified. I dread the idea of failing, and I am terrified of the idea that what I'm going to say is not merit the time or the attention of the people that I've brought together. But when it comes time to do it, I learned a long time ago that all I can do is put on my big boy pants, trust in my knowledge, my skills, and my preparation, and go for it. Because if someone's willing to listen to me, then I want them to feel like it was worth their time. I grew up in a town called Jupiter, Florida. And before Jupiter was known as the place where Tiger Woods lost a fight to his own golf clubs, we were known for our band. And by band, I mean our high school band. I loved being in band. It was a place for me to be expressive, to create music with a group. There's a problem though. Sometimes in band, you have to do solos. Do you know what a solo is? It's basically public speaking, but with an instrument. I hated solos, especially in classical music. They were usually very slow, very melodic, very structured. And I always sounded weak and unconfident. But people were counting on me. So when it came time for the performance, what did I do? I put on my big boy pants. I trusted in my skills and my preparation, and I bombed pretty hard first couple times. But at the time I was in middle school. What do you expect? At least I tried, right? When I got to high school, I found out about jazz band. This was more my speed. I love the music, I love the energy, and I love the history. There's only one problem. I was a saxophone player. And if you know jazz, you know that as a saxophone player, you have a lot of solos. The main difference with these solos was that they had a different energy. I could improvise. I could take the music and I could make it my own. But I still had to fit it in to the way that the way that the band was playing so that they could keep the song going. So before any solo, I was still extremely nervous. But I had no choice. They were relying on me. So I put on my big boy pants, trusted in my skills, and had fun with it. And man, it was fun. But then something interesting happened. As I gained those skills and I prepared more, I found those pants fit a little better. I wasn't as reluctant to perform anymore. The nervous energy was still there, but now I could take it and I could turn it into something different, something that people wanted to listen to. When I got to college, I went to Florida State University and I joined the Marching Chiefs. This is a whole nother level. This is the professional sports of band, and I was on the championship team. I worked really hard to get on that team, and I worked even harder on our first pregame. For the rest of my life, I will never forget the first time that I stood on the field at the stadium. There were 80,000 people in that crowd, and it wasn't even human. The sound and the energy was electric, and you could feel it. And you can guarantee that I forgot everything I had spent months learning immediately. I had no idea how I was going to know where I was going, let alone get there and play the music. But it was too late. I was already standing on the field. So you know what I did? I put on my big boy pants, and something interesting happened. Nothing. Everything went fine. And it continued to go fine for the next 3 years that I did it. And yes, there was always that electric, nervous energy beforehand, but there was just something about it that was so energetic. And if you've never been to a football game, a college football game in the South, I highly recommend it. Because if you have, you know what I'm talking about. After college, I found myself increasingly placed in front of groups. At first, unwillingly. Like the time that my boss handed me a microphone 10 minutes before a briefing and said, "Have fun, it's your show now." And then more willingly later as I got into things like training sessions and other responsibilities. As I started to do this, I saw people that made it look so easy. I wanted it to be like them. I wanted to be the next Steve Jobs and the next Tony Robbins. But I quickly learned that speaking is a skill. These people work incredibly hard at sounding so relaxed. So I kept practicing. Sure, speaking got easier, but those moments before, they're just as difficult. But I remembered back to my days in jazz. I had a responsibility. I was already standing up, so I had to go. So I put on my big boy pants, I trusted in my knowledge, skills, and preparations, and each time I survived, and I learned a little bit more. When I became a trainer here at KeyBank, I wasn't sure I was going to fit in. I had moved to Buffalo 5 years before, and it had been at least that long before since I had stood in front of somebody else. So I wasn't really sure what would happen. Would I fail? What makes my boss choose me to do that job? Then I realized something. I was chosen because I had the ability to take information and distill it down, and then the willingness to stand in front of a crowd and do it. That's all it took. So, once again, I took out my big boy pants, I put them on, I trusted in my knowledge, my skills, and my preparation, and that's what brought me here today. My point is that everybody struggles with speaking. Putting yourself out there is very hard. If speaking becomes too easy, it means that you are not pushing yourself to be the best you can be, or that you don't really care about the message that you're putting into the world. Everyone has a pair of big boy pants. The question is, are you willing to take yours out and put them on? I think you will, because you're here today, and I look forward to sharing that journey with you. Thank you again for your time, and I look forward to hearing everybody's story.
Just one comment, if I may. With the icebreaker, we all stand and clap. a no time limitation for this one speech. It could go for 20 minutes, it can go for 10, no
I will
time
know.
limitation either. Excellent job.
Excellent job. This transitions us into our next portion, which is the tabletop portion. This was actually one of my favorites. Listen, I fear speaking. I was actually put on the spot last week by our wonderful Cindy during the tabletop portion, but after I did it, just as he said, I put on my big boy pants, I got up and did it. And I realized it was not that bad. So as we go into our table topics, I would like to introduce to you our table topic masters today, which will be Rachel Kelly. And she will kick things off for us. Rachel.
So I wasn't too sure what to do. I took the suggestion and went online. There's a million ideas. I figured we're kind of in our club and keep it simple. So we're going to host an imaginary event. We're going to host a picnic for Keymasters. So on every piece of paper it says a little bit about the job that you'll be given to help us create this event. And then I think we're going to do one person at a time. Do we have any volunteers to do the first one?
Rachel, can you review for us who spoke at table topics and what they spoke about?
Alan is going to be, and Josh is going to, what are you picking?
The take-home gifts.
Take home
Or
gifts.
take home gifts, yes, I'm sorry. And Kelly is going to decide our activity. Roberta is going to,
Music.
music, yes, and Shannon, decide what
Be the chef.
Chef. But thank you, George.
Thank you.
Can I interrupt for a minute? The table topics master then would ask for a word master report to see if all of the candidates did indeed use the word.
Not
And
every
then,
club does it that way.
oh, okay,
Yeah. Maybe that's what they do in Lockport.
okay.
But not every club is strict about that. They're always strict about the timing.
The timing would be
To
next.
Between 1 and 2 minutes in order to be eligible for the vote.
Right.
So we do need a timers report on who spoke between 1 and 2 minutes.
Okay, so I have Josh at 1 minute 18 seconds. Both Kelly and Sharon were at 2 minutes exactly. And then, I'm so sorry, I missed the last participant's name. Roberta. She was at 1 minute and 13 seconds.
And what about Josh?
1 minute and 18 seconds.
Okay, so we all qualify.
Everybody qualified for the vote.
So, were you gonna say,
Right, well, first I'd like to thank Rachel for a very good topic, we appreciate that. I thank everybody, those who volunteered and those who were called upon. See, once you get up there, it's not as bad as you think it is. So, I would like to call Cindy back to the lectern, she will actually give, she will actually call up the evaluator to go over the speeches and we'll go over the feedback. Cindy?
Yes, ma'am.
yes, perfect, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, please.
Would you like them to do all three just for the exercise in doing so?
Oh, just to the
Okay.
table.
Well, today we have some good envelopes that will help us gather up the votes. At the bottom of your long sheet for notes to our speakers and our evaluators. I need to call you first, by the way, I just but we can vote at the very bottom for best table topic speaker. These are perforated. You may detach that from the bottom. I will start over here at Fallon and put in whom you thought was the best table topic speaker. If you wouldn't mind, pass that around over here, we'll watch it on this side.
Oh, sure.
I would like to introduce our speakers evaluator for today, Susan Miller.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Bob. Bob, thank you so much for your icebreaker. I always get excited, my heart pounds when I hear an icebreaker speech, because I remember being in that position, and I can recall that not only when I hear icebreaker speeches, but almost every time that I give a speech. I get it right here. You gave us great advice. Shorten your motto, just do it. Put on your big boy pants and get out there and do it. I think that's great advice. Your speech had a good opening. You talked about your personal experience and how, even though it might not be obvious to everyone, you still feel that there's a fear to be overcome in every speech. You gave us a lot of information about your personal history, but starting from early school days and all the way up through college and some of your job history, and how speaking or some kind of performing entered into various activities that you took. And so that helped us all to think back over our own experiences and make connections between things we've been involved in and things we've done and the benefits we're hoping to get from Toastmasters. So I thought that was excellent. One small bit of advice that I think would make your speech even more powerful, you kind of had a rocking motion, which I think was part of your energy. You had a lot of energy, which is great. We want to see a speaker be energetic and enthusiastic, but you also need to maybe slow it down a little bit and try to minimize anything that could be distracting to your speakers, to your audience as a speaker. Overall, you demonstrated a lot of strengths in terms of the eye contact you had with people, in terms of your awareness of the audience. You used a lot of humor that I think helped the audience to connect with you. And you certainly spoke on a topic, as I said, that was of interest to all of us in terms of connecting to our own experiences in various avenues of our lives when we had to speak or to perform. So I felt it was a very effective speech, and I look forward to your next speeches. Thank you.
I shall generally evaluate. Here's a fun thing to learn. I'm not perfect. Oh, what do you know? So I used a general evaluator form to help me walk through so I would hopefully not forget something that's very important. Generally, the overall shape of the meeting has been very good, and I will be very quick because I noticed the time. So we started about a minute and a half late, and who's taking the fault? Well, me. Yes, I was handing out paperwork, so I needed to get to that faster. I will do that in the future if that's my job. Very notable, our Toastmaster for today. Please give him a very large applause. You did very well. You stuck to our agenda. You kept things moving smoothly, and I think that helped the group overall see that Toastmasters is working for you. Why? Because you put on those big boy pants. Right? You didn't leave it for someone else. You stepped up, so you all can do it. Now, our evaluator, excellent. She made those points. She was kind, but she was helpful, and she gave you something to work on, right? And we all could learn from her evaluation. She stuck to the time. Excellent work. Bob, wonderful icebreaker. Very well, shall I say, performed. Right? You're a musician, and I connect with that. My first degree, music education, so I was right there with him. I don't know about any of you, middle school music. Don't ask me to do anything but wiggle these little things on my instrument. So excellent. I think many could connect. But how wonderful for you to be able to pinpoint. I'm nervous to do this. I'm afraid to do this, but what am I really afraid of? That'll help each of us reevaluate what we're actually struggling with. Think about it. You're not just afraid. What are you afraid of? And we can all work on it. Excellent. Table topics. Rachel. Very nicely done. She wasn't sure what to do. She looked up some options. She picked one. You executed it well. Thank you very much. You were a very good leader in that role today. All of our table topic speakers, excellent. You stayed right on time. Right? And we stopped on time. Last of all, let's see, I need to go through our counting. So our odd counter, you may stay at your seat or you can stand up, whatever you'd like to do.
Bethany had 5 3 so's. James had 16 Howard had 2 Cindy had 1 Susan had 3 Rachel had 2 and 2 Fallon had 2 Josh had 3 2 Kelly had 8 Sharon had 4 and Roberta had 4 and 1
Okay, thank you very much. And if you feel you need to work on that, please work on that. Find a buddy, run through your speeches or whatever you're going to speak on. Our word of the day. Harold, we got a few.
So we had 2 instances of the word acolyte used today, and that was from Josh and Kelly, and that was the only promise of the word today.
Thank you very much. And I'm staying home now. I am not that. I roll the roost. No, who said that? Lastly, I do have a winner for our table topics today. Did we currently have a ribbon today? Which I'm no pressure. All right, our winner for today is Sharon. Thank you. I give you excelente as you take over more roles from us. Please just enjoy it and ask us for help. Please, come on back here. Our Toastmaster for today.
Thank you. I hope you all enjoyed your visit today. Hope you all enjoyed the meeting. Finally, we're going to close things out. Let's come up and close us out.
Great meeting today. So the next meeting is going to be the second week of August. So we hope that everybody can make it for that meeting.
September.
No.
August.
Yeah.
Second week of May.
So I'm going to close the meeting.
All right, I'm sorry you had to be a guinea pig on this one, but at least I know now that we've implemented it.
Well, he just asked me that like quarter to 5 last night if I would do it, and I was like, I'm gonna be sure. And then I didn't get any like briefing on it, and I don't know, I am such a perfectionist that if I go into something about a plan, my brain will work into it, and like, yeah, when I actually met him, yeah, well, that's just so because I was very confused on like which ones I am timing, which ones I'm flashing. I think everything comes in it has to though, so who knows?
Okay, so
I don't agree with that, I think, but I needed to know what you meant, because you don't know, the next person might be like, oh, no, whatever, and they'll be fine, but you are in this, and there's other people who need that, and I will tell you it would be me.
Right.
Maybe that's why
Thank you. And thank you for having us doing that, because sometimes, like, our boss, you just feel like you have to.
But I just like, I didn't want to put myself out there on it.
I have to look it up.
It sounds so scary, and then I was like, oh my god, yes, yeah, said, like I said, if I don't have a plan or if I don't have something to
Great job, wow.
Thank you.
Great presence.
Conquer my fear, but yeah, it's
Got
coming
voice to his
along.
voice.
have a good one.
You'll be here for our next
Yeah, I
few
gotta
meetings.
contact, there's two mentors, and we're gonna